If you love fall as much as we love fall, you are going to love this video. Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. With me today is the very sleepy, as always, Louie. In today's video, we are doing 3 pumpkin wreaths. They are going to be fun to make, they're going to be beautiful, and most importantly, we are going to have some fun. So with that said, let's get started. Let's go through the supplies for this wreath, starting with the pumpkin wreath base. Some poofy yarn. I'm going to use 2 types of ribbon. This one is 1.5 inch, 2.5 inch. Both are wired. A fabric piece that's 18 by 21 inches. And you can use florals. These are leaves. I have some orange and some yellow with orange tips on them. And I will be using a few zip ties. And grab this buffalo check. Now I'm going to clamp the sides in place. That looks good to me. So what I like to do is do side first. Then this side. Bring it in at the bottom. And this gives you the biggest chance of having everything more or less evened out and nicely attached. And I'm going to complete hot gluing all the way around. To take care of the top, I'm just going to cut in on both sides of the stem and fold that in. Let's add a little bit of hot glue and then hot glue the sides. Now I'm going to go around and about 1/2 inch to 1 inch from the edge, I'm going to trim the fabric. Now that the edges are done, I'm going to bring in the yarn and I'm going to start by taking care of the stem. Let's hot glue this in place. And I'm just putting hot glue on both sides. Here you go, dabbing a little bit of hot glue. Now I'm going to go down the lines and hot glue the yarn on the skeleton of the wreath base. And then at the end, we're going to go around, starting with the very side one. Next, I'm going to go all the way around on the outside of the pumpkin. We're going to connect all our yarn pieces, and I'm starting at the top. I decided to make a layered bow for this wreath, so I'm going to start with my 2 inch and then go into my 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to be using my bow maker. Start with a long tail. This is a one-sided ribbon. Twist right away and start making my bow. Going to twist. There's bow number 1. Let's bring in our buffalo check ribbon. And this one, believe it or not, is also one-sided. You can definitely tell where that is. So I am going to twist as I'm putting this one on. And this one I'm going to make a little bit shorter. I decided to make 4 loops with my buffalo check ribbon. I'm going to twist before we make the other loop. And the reason for that is I want this bow to show up a little bit. 2 loops at the top, 2 loops at the bottom. And that way we're going to have a gorgeous, gorgeous bow. Twist and down. Cut off the excess. When our bow's on our wreath, we're going to puff it out and put something in the center. To arrange my leaves, what I decided to do is have a big bundle right here. So I'm going to take a red one and a yellow one and do a bigger bundle on this side. Then we're going to have the bow here. And then on this side, we're going to have this little one. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all of this extra wiring that we don't need. Using floral wire, I'm going to cut off the remaining tail that I don't need. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Otherwise, the tails are just going to be sticking out. Let's bring the leaves together. Pull some of these yellows through to the front. Mix them in. I like that. Put the other one underneath. And I'm zip tying everything together. Because we are making simple bows, I don't want there to be too too much emptiness right here, so that is why I am overlapping them so much. If you feel like there's more that needs to be attached, go ahead, zip tie them, use floral wire, whatever you would like, until you feel like it has a good hold. Now I'm going to bend these into an upside down V. That looks good. Let's attach the bow to our leaves. Few twists, go back and forth since I still have a little bit of wire left. Why not, right? Oh my goodness, look how pretty. And the tails I'm going to cut once everything is on our wreath. For the center, I'm going to grab a green vase filler. You can use anything you have on hand. As I always say, you can use maybe a button. I mean, really, anything. Even an acorn would go here if you wanted to. But I am going to grab a green one because I wanted to bring out a little bit of that greenery that's in the ribbon. I thought it would look really, really pretty. One of the most important things is to decide where to place your whole bundle. I'm going to try not to push it all the way up, because when you do and the wreath is flat against the wall, you can't see it because it's on top. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I think that looks really, really good. With my finger, I'm kind of saving the spot where it's going. And I am going to use an awl to put a zip tie in there. If you're using a floral wire, that's even better. But I'm going to go ahead and put a zip tie there. Make another hole. Going to push the zip tie out. I went around one of the wires. With my zip tie, I went right underneath all those vines, and it's still going to be hidden. So I am going to go, and just like that, I'm going to zip it up, cut the tail, and then hide the nub behind the bow. This is not a flat surface, so you do want to consider taking your leaves and then kind of folding them against the pumpkin. Same thing on this side. Lay it down so it's not sticking up. Actually loving the length of the ribbon. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. Decided to make my buffalo check just a little bit shorter. This pumpkin is all done, and I'm loving the buffalo check with the orange. What a beautiful combo. Let's run through the supplies real quick, starting with a pumpkin wreath form base, a roll of black yarn, a black roll, and an orange roll of candy corn ribbon. Both of these are 2.5 inches and they are wired. Then I'm going to use 2 of these super cute candy corn picks. A few more gorgeous picks. These I got at Michael's. I got 2 of the ivory, 2 of the orange, and 2 of the yellow. The next thing we're going to do is grab our yarn, and we're going to wrap around all of the wreath wiring. When I do projects like this, I just like to cut off a big piece and work with that piece. I always like to start on the metal rows, the ones that are 3D. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie at the top, and then instead of cutting it, I'm going to wrap around it, and it's going to give us a little bit of extra security, and you just wrap it around. At this point, I'm going to turn some kind of a show on, and off I go. I'm done working on this row, and all I did was just loop this and make a little knot with the yarn. Row 2 is done, and same thing. I'm going to make a little loop, tie it in a knot. Okay, my friends, this was fairly tedious and it took me an hour to do. So I do recommend grabbing yarn that's a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do to go around is I'm going to double my yarn. I'm going to start at the top and go around. Hopefully, because it's going to be thicker, it's going to be a lot quicker and nicer of an edge. Yes, doubling it does go a bit quicker. Off to a nice start, and I'm going to go all the way around. As I'm starting going towards the bottom, I'm going to start pulling in those tails and wrapping the double twine around them. I made it all the way around, and now I'm going to use my end piece to knot at the end. The tail that's left over, I'm going to hide in the stem. To cover the stem, I'm going to use a piece of this velvet ribbon. This stem is all done. Now it's time to decorate. To decorate our pumpkin, I'm going to start by working on our picks. Let's take all the price tags off first. I'm going to get started by laying out our Pumpkin picks first, putting the candy corn right on top and zip tying it. And I'm going to do the same thing with this set. I think this is really good. We can make it higher or lower. I think somewhere right there is perfect because our bow is going to go right here. Zip tie one side. I zip tied everything together to the wire here, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the wire on the other side. My picks are nicely secured. Time to work on our bow. I'm doing a funky bow for this wreath. That's why I have my measuring mat out, and I'm going to cut 4 strips of this black ribbon at 20 inches each. Then I'm going to fold in half on the ends and cut dovetails. Going to do the same thing with the orange ribbon and cut 4 strips at 20 inches each. I'm also going to be cutting dovetails on this ribbon. The ribbon is ready. The bow maker is just to hold the ribbon in place as we're making the bow. I'm going to fold the ribbon in half, and I'm going to pinch it at 4.5 from the loop side because I want to make sure that the tail sticks out just a little bit. And then when I have it together, I'm going to go to the tail underneath and I'm going to twist it. That way we don't have to worry about the tail later. Going to go in with the second orange ribbon. Let's measure. This time I'm going to put the loop on one side and the tail on the other side. Once again, we're going to go to that lower tail and twist it so it's facing up and lay it down. Next, we have our black ribbon. I'm going to continue doing this until I'm done with all the ribbon, making sure that the tails and the loops are always going the opposite way. The fun part is you can already see the bow forming. Let's do the second black ribbon. Since the tails are on the left, I'm going to put these on the right. This is really high quality ribbon. I'm already seeing how high this is going to be. Oh my goodness, look at the side. Yes. And this is why I'm a fan of a good old zip tie. Lift my bow just a little bit and I'm going to go sideways in between the dowels with the zip tie. Do a few clicks here, take it out, and now we can really zip tie this together. Grabbing another zip tie, we are going to zip tie it right in the center onto the picks. Picks are on really securely, so I'm not even worried about that. Now it's time to do my favorite part, and of course, open up the ribbon. I am just loving how fun and beautiful this wreath turned out. Let's go over the supplies we're going to need for this very fall pumpkin wreath. First, we're going to use a pumpkin wreath form. When it comes to decoupage, you don't have to use a 21-inch decoupage that I'm using here. You can use anything you have on hand, maybe 10-inch, maybe even 6-inch. Just layer some one on top of the other so that you can attach. I have this one left over from a previous project, and I think it's going to make a gorgeous wreath. For my ribbon, I'm going to use 2.5-inch wired ribbon. One is black and the other one is this iridescent orange that's going to match my little decor. This decor was thrifted from a while ago, but you can use any berries, anything you have on hand. And then I am going to use some feathers. These I got on a really good clearance at Michael's, but you can also use these little curls from the Dollar Tree. These are really fun to use. Some pipe cleaners and a zip tie or two. The first thing I want to take care of is the top of my pumpkin, and because the ribbon that I'm using is sheer, I'm going to grab some ribbon that I have on hand, and this is a very pretty felt one. Cut off a piece that's maybe 6 inches in length, a little bit of hot glue on top, just going to fold in the sides and fold over for a neater look. With the top nicely taken care of, next I'm going to grab 4 pipe cleaners. Using 21-inch decoupage, I could probably even get away with using 3, but in this case, I am going to use 4, and I'm going to make a beautifully full wreath. Fold my pipe cleaners in half and cut. I'm going to attach pipe cleaners on both of these outside rows and the 2 inside rows. Twist them in place. If you are using 10-inch decoupage or 6-inch decoupage, I would definitely use 6 pipe cleaners, but I would also layer 2 or 3 on, especially with the smaller decoupage, to make sure that you get that fullness. With the 21-inch decoupage, it's so easy. Let's get our gorgeous decoupage. Let's collect it. When I collected my tail, I'm going to start on the outside row. Lock that pipe cleaner in place because I know that this is going to be thick enough to cover this area. Because the tail is kind of in the air, I am going to grab a zip tie and zip tie it to the actual wreath base. Let's cut off the excess, any of the fraying. And now we are ready to go up and down attaching our decoupage. Here I'm going to go up, attach it to the other side, and I do like attaching it to the back. That way I know that it's kind of tight in the back and it should stay in the back. Now you have to decide if you're just going to go from top and keep on going this way, or you are going to cover the back. So in the back, I'm going to go flat. I like covering the back. To our next pipe cleaner, go ahead and wrap that pumpkin over. The edges I'm going to fold over. And I like this part to be a little bit looser because I do want to make sure that it covers as much as possible. And I want the pumpkin to be a little bit on the fluffy side. Then I'm going to the pipe cleaner that is right on top. And same thing, I like to make sure that I'm tying it in the back. Pull back if you have to. I want to make sure I have enough floof, so I went back a little bit. And now I'm going to tie it to the next pipe cleaner. A few twists there. Going back up to the pipe cleaner on the other side. Twist it in place. Hide that. Now we're going to this last row. Twist. And the last time that we are going over, make sure that edge is hidden. And once again, I am going to put it upside down in order to connect. Let's cut off the excess, and I'm going way beyond what we need. I can always cut off the remaining tail, but I do want to make sure that I'm nice and filled in right here. Oh, that looks beautiful. Fold the end over and tie it in the back. A few twists. Let's fold that over. It's kind of curling in nicely. I'm just going to tuck it right there to fill in that space. And now we can make sure that our pumpkin is nice and fluffy. Go over the little rivets. Make sure everything is beautiful. I thought covering this pumpkin was super easy, especially when we're talking about decoupage. We basically attached it in the back and just kept on going around and around and around and attached it at the end. I thought this was super easy. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with that. Next, we are going to decorate the pumpkin. This pumpkin is so poofy. For decor, I decided to do the decor on the side and then the bow right here. First thing I want to do is open up my feathers. This thrifted item is kind of falling apart, so I don't even know why that's there. I'm going to put that on the side, and then I'm just going to lay this out, and I'm going to zip tie everything together. I'm going to put another zip tie quite a bit lower. Cut off the tails. About an inch from my second zip tie, I'm going to cut off the tails. I'm ready to put the decor right on the pumpkin, and I want it about there. So what I decided to do is I'm going to grab a zip tie, and I'm going to zip tie it straight onto the pumpkin. I felt for the wire. And then if you need to stabilize it, you could definitely use some black floral wire and attach it at the base. So now my zip tie is going right above that first zip tie. That way it will hold it in place. Second connection on the other wire. Cut that off. This is securely locked in. Move things around if I need to. And then we're going to put a bow right here that's going to cover all of this up. I'll be using a bow maker to make this bow. It just makes things so much easier. We're going to make a 6-inch tail, maybe 6.5. If your ribbon is double-sided, I know you can probably not tell, but this one is one-sided because the glitter is on one side and on the other side it is plain. So I'm going to twist every time I go through the center. I'm going to make, and every time I go through the center, I'm going to twist. I'm going to make 6 loops with this ribbon just because I want to finish it up. Looking at this ribbon, it is super, super shiny. So what I decided to do is put this bow on top, and that's okay. I'm just going to take a big clamp and clamp it as is. Use the other ribbon to make the bow. Here I decided to, let's go 5.5 inches on this one. This is a tough ribbon. Twist in the center. Using this one up also. Twist. I made 5 loops with this gorgeous ribbon. Let's cut the tail off a little bit. And then we're going to put the black one right on top. To bring the bow together, I'm going to use a zip tie. And the way I like to do this is while the entire bow is still on the bow maker, I'm going to make a few clicks and take it off. Make sure you're in the center and then complete the bow that way. Grab a black floral wire, and I'm going to use the floral wire to attach it to the wreath itself. Next, I'm going to make dovetails by folding the ribbon in half and cutting it from inside out. This tail ended up being a little longer, but when I have situations like that, I tend to just leave it, and then when the bow is on the wreath itself, I decide whether I want to make it shorter or not. Let's attach to the wreath. Wrapped it around. On top, I'm just going to twist it in place, hide the tail. This one's actually really, really long, so I'm going to cut the excess and fold it back. Now I'm going to start fluffing out the tail. Just open up those loops. This turned out even prettier than I had in my head. I'm going to leave this tail as it is because I think it is so pretty there. And that is it for this beautiful Glam pumpkin wreath. This video was so much fun to make because pumpkins are always fun to work with. In the comments below, I would love to know which one was your favorite or which one goes more with your fall decor. With that said, thank you for being with us. If you're not subscribed and love wreath tutorials, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you are notified every time we post a video. As for Louie and I, we are going to say thank you so much for being with us, and we will see you in our next video. Bye, friends. Louie, did you want to say bye? Give everyone a kiss? Mwah! He's such a sweet dog. Bye, guys.